Hello, everyone. Welcome to our 2023 NASIG Members Forum. My name is Courtney McAllister. I'm the current NASIG president, and it's my delight to welcome you to today's forum. Okay, just to kind of follow our guidelines as stipulated by the rules of order, I'll call this meeting to order at 2 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday, October 17th, 2023. We did share an agenda with membership ahead of this meeting per our bylaws, but just to recap the topics that we plan to cover today, I'll present a few highlights from the past year, talk briefly about our strategic plan, which continues to guide our work. Nicole Amaduri will share a financial report with us. I'll introduce you to the 2023-2024 board, and then also recognize our outgoing board members, committee chairs, and the registrar. Matthew Ragucci will share a marketing task force update with us, and then we'll have time for discussion of old business and calls for new business. So with that, I would like to begin with a welcome and just an overview of NASIG as an organization in case we have new members who have recently joined NASIG or folks who are joining today's session as part of NASIG Autumn. Welcome. NASIG is an independent nonprofit organization. We're also an all-volunteer organization. So as you hear updates from committees, as you hear us talk about the work that the organization is doing, these are busy professionals who are giving their time and their energy to NASIG and to one another. So just want to spotlight that because it's, I think, one of the best parts of our community. NASIG is a provider of conference content like NASIG Autumn happening right now and continuing education programming. We're always seeking knowledge and finding new ways of sharing knowledge with one another. We're also an engaged partner in developing best practices and standards through partnerships with other organizations. So if you hear references to work that we're doing with NISO or collaborations with Counter or things like that, just to kind of clarify that we are trying to be a dynamic part of the scholarly communication landscape. So there's a lot we could talk about from 2022, 2023, but I wanted to share a few brief highlights. We did hold an in-person conference in Pittsburgh. That image is from one of the iconic yellow bridges. I believe it's the Rachel Carson Bridge. So many thanks to those who presented, who were able to attend. I think it was a very successful conference. One thing that did differentiate it from our previous in-person conferences is that instead of having pre-conference sessions for practical workshops and information sharing, we had workshops incorporated into the mainstream programming. So there was not a separate day kind of before the conference started where you do your pre-conference with a separate price point associated with it. We had those workshops built into the conference and included in the registration cost. And I think they were really well received. Many thanks to our workshop presenters for sharing such wonderful insights and practical information with us. And please keep an eye out for updates on how workshops may feature into the Spokane program in 2024. Speaking of conferences, we also made the decision last year to hold separate conferences. So we did hold the in-person in Pittsburgh in May, and now we are holding the virtual conference, NASIG Autumn. I don't want to go into too much detail and bore you with all of the nuances of that decision, all the discussion that went into it, but just to briefly summarize, after having a hybrid conference in Baltimore in 2022, we took a step back and tried to take stock of the different kinds of engagement that really work well in in-person environments and in virtual environments, and tried to figure out a way that we could sustainably address both needs while being very mindful of our stewardship and the way we are managing NASIG's resources. As I said, we are a nonprofit organization and a volunteer run organization. And so this is our first year having two separate conferences as a part of that. There were also conversations about what that meant for our committees. We have the CPC and PPC committees who focus on putting on outstanding in-person events every year. A virtual conference is a lot to tack on to that. It's more than you could do with a subgroup of either or both committee. So we forged a new committee this year, the Virtual Conference Committee, that consists of Steve Oberg, Matthew Ragucci, Kathy Mason, Melissa Hart-Cantrell, and myself. And, we worked to put on the program for this year. So there's a lot that we did to try to, address the shifting changes and expectations. And of course, we'll need to evaluate what that means for the future of our programming going forward. It's a little too early to say for sure. I think at this point, NASIG Autumn has been great, but it is the start of day 2. So I don't want to, run before I can walk, so to speak. Another highlight from 2022-2023 is the fact that we made great progress towards making our conference proceedings open access. I know this is something that NASIG has been discussing for several years. Just to kind of give a little bit of backstory, last year, the Open Initiatives Committee did a wonderful analysis, a very thorough deep dive into what the different possibilities might be for us to make our proceedings open access. And we made the selection. We decided to go with Michigan. And then, this year has really been about implementing that decision. And that's involved a lot of work, so much gratitude to our proceedings editors, again, all volunteers, as they figure out, what the new workflow looks like, working with a different publisher, how to manage just the changes in our publishing agreements and all of these different kind of entanglements that come with this sort of change. The communications committee has been great as well. There's just a lot that goes into making this happen. And our first year's worth of proceedings should be available very soon, open access on Michigan. We're also continuing to work towards our strategic plan, the directions that we introduced last year to you all. These were introduced during last year's members forum and then approved with a member vote after the forum. So we're striving to make progress on all of these directions. I want to spotlight a few things. Obviously, incorporating equitable and inclusive practice is a high priority for us and something that we're striving to work towards very diligently. I think the marketing task force update you will hear about subsequently will address some of the work we're doing to try to engage membership with effective communication strategies and really think about being purposeful and helpful with our communications. We're also working towards new and ongoing developments. That's something that's always of interest to us. And of course, ensuring NASIG is a financially sustainable organization. That, as you may have noticed in my summary of our discussion about an in-person and virtual conference arrangement, the financial prospects are very important to us and something that we take very seriously as we, make decisions that impact the entire NASIG community. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Nicole Amaduri for a closer look into NASIG's finances.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me and see me? It is such an honor to serve this organization. My goal is to find ways to save on operating expenses and to increase NASIG's cash flow like never before. So our current checking account balance is $25,000. Our savings account balance is $5,000, and our investment account balance is $173,000. We want to not touch that and keep that for perpetuity. We obviously want to be thriving for decades to come. So as you've seen this year, we are experimenting with a new model of separate in-person and virtual conferences. It's because over the next few years, we want to be focused on good stewardship. So we'll be approaching the next few years very thoughtfully to ensure we have a fiscally sustainable NASIG. So far, NASIG Autumn has been really good with excellent presentations yesterday, and we look forward to more excellent presentations today and tomorrow. Just as a reminder, in returning to in-person conferences for the past 2 years, like many other conferences, we saw reduced in-person attendance because COVID was still around in that time. I mean, it resulted in NASIG running a deficit for Baltimore 2022 and Pittsburgh 2023. But keep in mind, these were planned before we could have ever fathomed a world with COVID. So we're making different choices to consider future locations and conferences and the numbers that we agree to so that we can be fiscally sustainable and highly successful. Thank you so much for supporting NASIG, and we look forward to you joining us in person in Spokane. I know I personally cannot wait to see those beautiful mountains. Should I answer any questions, Courtney? Do I say email me at the end, or email me at the end? I guess I'm happy to answer any individual questions. So you can see our list of expenses here that went into the conference. We have awards and recognition, spring site visit, supplies, and speaker honorariums, food and hotel rooms. So one of the ways that we're going to have a better fiscal outcome post-COVID is that we will agree to fewer hotel room nights. And we're going to try to break up the site visit so that fewer people go. Perhaps we could visit the cities that we're already in at no expense to NASIG. And our awards will be given when they have sponsors. So we look forward to gathering more sponsors for those awards. And we already have one for the Equity Inclusion Award for 2024, thanks to Harasowitz. So that is very exciting. And we look forward to gathering new sponsors too. It looks like we're already going to have a new one this year. If you have any connections to sponsors, please do encourage them to support NASIG. Let them know how much it means to you. So you can see some of our, these are, it's actually a comprehensive list of our general, just the things that we need to function. I don't want to read through it, but we definitely, we've looked very carefully at our insurance, at how we do surveys, at our accountant, and the current treasurer has really been meticulous at picking like the credit cards with the best points that will benefit NASIG, et cetera, et cetera. And she's really done a deep dive into how we can wheedle our expenses down for the following year. So she's not here, but she deserves a big shout out. We also, as a board, are discussing our strategic partnerships. And how we benefit or how important they are for our ecosystem. And so we've really, every line item on this list has been deeply thought through and discussed. There's nothing that is just automatically pushed through every year. Every single line item is really being given a deep dive.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Nicole. And yeah, would you prefer, if any follow-up questions arise, people reply, send those to you via email? Is that?
Yeah, I do
Okay.
want to offer that. I hope I'm a little behind on my emails, but yes, please, if you have a question, I would be happy to answer that for you. It's nicole.amadori@springer.com.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So it's my pleasure to introduce you to the 2023-2024 board. You've already met a couple of us, but just to go through the full roster. As I mentioned, my name's Courtney. I work at Adapon. Our vice president, I should say, if any of the board members are here, if you wouldn't mind either turning on your camera or just saying hello, if you feel inclined, please feel welcome to do that. No pressure, but it's always nice to hear from these names. Paul Mueller is our vice president, president-elect from the University of Colorado Boulder. Not sure if Paul is here. Our past president is Dana Sinclair from Adelphi University. Our secretary is the wonderful Willa Tavernier from Indiana University Bloomington. Our treasurer is Shannon Keller, the U.S. Department of State, who could not be with us today. And you just heard from Nicole Amaduri, who is our treasurer in training. Oh, sorry, got a little too click happy there. We have members at large, Triasa Bain from the University of Washington in St. Louis, Christian Burris from Wake Forest University.
Hello and good afternoon.
We have Ilda Cardenas from California State University, Fullerton.
Hi, everybody.
We have Moon Kim from University of British Columbia. We have Yan Song from Duke University. And Heather Staines from Delta Think. We also have our social media coordinator, Steve Oberg from Wheaton College.
Hello.
And our social media coordinator in training, Matthew Rigucci.
Hi, everyone.
One just quick note, it was something that wasn't super obvious to me when I joined NASIG, the in training designation. We have several roles here on the board level that involve just a ton of institutional memory and really like complex tacit knowledge, like the treasurer and social media coordinator. And for those roles, we try to have overlap between the person who's been fulfilling those responsibilities and then the person who will be taking over, just to maximize a seamless transition. So very grateful to our in training folks.
Hi,
I'd also
everyone. I'm Willa. I just wanted to say thanks to the board and NASIC who've been so supportive. This is actually my last year as secretary. I've been secretary 2021. So that goes through 2024. So if anyone wants the wonderful opportunity of service, please feel free to self-nominate or nominate someone who you think would be great for this, for the next round of elections.
Wonderful. Thanks, Villa. I'd also like to recognize our registrar and our conference coordinator. Our registrar is Maria Agazarian, and our conference coordinator is Jackie Brelanthen, all doing fantastic work and serving NASIG. So many thanks to all of these very talented and generous folks. We had some board members and committee chairs end their terms of service in the summer of 2023. So we would like to take this opportunity to thank them for their time and their efforts and their support of NASIG. Ted Westerveld was past president. We also had members at large, Marianne Jones and Sonali Sugram. From awards and recognition, we had Emily Ray, bylaws, Maria Agazarian, communications, Sophia Sluskaya and Amanda Bullington, continuing education, Amy Carlson and Kate Hill, conference planning, Christian Burris and Steve Kelly, Rachel Scott, who is one of our conference proceedings editors. From digital preservation, we had Michelle Polchow. Evaluation and assessment, we had Kevin Balster. Our former marketing and social media coordinator was Anu Morthy, and we had Susie Kozaitis from membership services. From mentoring and student outreach, we had Julia Bori. Program planning, we had Sarah Dennis. Anna Creech was our outgoing conference coordinator, and Stephanie Adams was our outgoing registrar. So again, many thanks to these folks for doing tremendous work and all of their contributions to enrich our community and our organization. Speaking of committee work, it is now my great pleasure to turn things over to Matthew Rigucci for an update on the marketing task force.
Thank you very much, Courtney, for that introduction, and hello. Thank you for the opportunity to be here to speak to NASIG membership. My name is Matthew Rigucci. I am the product marketing director over at Wiley. I'm also the chair of the NASIG marketing task force. And since this is really the first time that we've had the opportunity to address the majority of NASIG membership, I thought I'd start out by talking a little bit about an overview of who we are and what we do, what our mandate is. And then I'm also going to be talking about the great work that we've been able to produce to date and deliver on, and provide a few examples of that. And then lastly, just a quick look ahead at the future. If you wouldn't mind, Courtney, just moving us over. Perfect. Everyone loves a big wordy slide, right? But to just give you a little bit of background on the task force itself, at the end of the in-person NASIG annual conference in Baltimore, the board approved the formation of a marketing task force, and they were tasked with the creation of a marketing plan. And this marketing plan would include various marketing elements. Some of them you're probably familiar with: an elevator speech, creating value propositions for the various different types of NASIG members and partners, different methods and channels for engaging with all of these constituencies as well, some branding guidelines, a master calendar for events and tasks related to marketing, a clear process for the social media coordinator as well, and some guidance, and documenting the work for partnering with liaisons and vendors and sponsors for the annual conference. And lastly, a little bit more clearer definition for the social media coordinator when it comes to marketing more broadly across the organization. So all of this, all of these elements of the marketing plan that the board has asked for is really in the service of one goal, right? Which is to increase the visibility of our organization, the great work that we all do here, in an effort also to increase participation, expand participation and awareness throughout the industry, as well as membership and attendance at our various events. We are a small but mighty task force. So I'm the chair, but I'm also joined by Nicole Amaduri from Springer Nature, who you heard earlier, and Steve Oberg from Wheaton College as well, who also serves as our board liaison. So we meet every couple of weeks to get to work on this marketing plan. But before we could do that, there was a little bit of work we had to do to get there. So if you wouldn't mind moving us over, Courtney, thank you. I think any seasoned marketing veteran may tell you, obviously marketing plans are important. However, we had to take a step back to understand what was going to go into that marketing plan. Instead of just saying, here's our strategy for marketing, we should understand what it is we're about and what it is we're messaging and to whom we're messaging. So we made the decision to create a Brown Foundation and messaging and positioning framework and document. It's a very heavy deck, as the board can attest to, as we presented it to them in Pittsburgh earlier this year. But essentially, this Brown Foundation and messaging and positioning is designed to determine what are our core messaging elements, what our values are as an organization, what it is we're trying to say, right? What are our values and things that are going to resonate with our members, and how we're going to say it. And also, what are our brand pillars? What are values that everyone who is a part of NASIG or potential members will see in themselves and will make them want to join and become a part of this great organization, in addition to value propositions and developing personas, again, understanding our membership and who they are and how we message to them. So once that document was done, it kind of serves as a foundation for the greater marketing plan and pulling elements of that messaging into the marketing plan for the year and beyond. Next slide, please. So this is the last wordy slide I'll share with you, but I think that this is probably the best example I can share to demonstrate how thoughtful the task force is trying to be when it comes to developing core messaging elements. So we need to understand who our members are, and we put them into persona groups. We know that there's a lot more nuance within roles of librarianship and publishers and vendors too. But we were able to come up with 3 major buckets here. And again, understanding who our members are, who our customers are, who we're marketing to, what are they trying to do at the end of the day? What are their goals and duties? What are their pains and challenges? And how NASIG is uniquely positioned to address some of those pain points and challenges. So this is kind of like marketing 101, but again, trying to map all of this together. So if you're looking at this framework from the top all the way trickling down to the bottom, it comes down to developing a single value statement, which I think should resonate with each of you. NASIG empowers members with the knowledge, community, and expertise needed to transform the information ecosystem. And what we do is we've created value pillars that kind of roll up into that statement. Again, I don't expect you to read the entire slide here. I can certainly share the slides with you afterwards to provide some transparency. But again, it's about communicating the core elements of who we are as an organization and how we can generate awareness and enthusiasm for folks to join going forward. These are things that we're going to be using in our marketing plan. Next slide, please. So As I mentioned, the key goal of this task force was to create a marketing plan to present to the board. So that's still in progress. We've delivered a lot so far, but in terms of creating the calendar and branding guidelines and a few other things, we still need to work a little bit more closely to get that into the plan. So that work still continues. This will help for organizational health and marketing activities in the future for yours truly, the incoming social media coordinator, but certainly others who hold roles within communicating the great work that we do here. And also in the service of helping promote and advertise for our annual conference next year in Spokane. You may have noticed in that task force roster sheet that I shared earlier, we're small but mighty. There's only 3 of us, and 2 of us are publishers. If you're interested in serving on this task force and giving that perspective, right now Steve is our token librarian. He does a fine job, and we do consult with other members. But if you are interested in joining our task force, let us know. We would love to have you. We'd love to have your insight and perspectives. We also have created a new email. It's marketing@nasicinternal.org. So if you're interested in participating, feel free to shoot an email to this address here, because we would love to have you. Making sure that membership is included in the messaging, making sure it resonates is so important, and that is what we aim to do with the task force. And that's it. So I'll pass over back to you, Courtney.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Matthew. That was a really wonderful update. And thanks to the other members of the task force for great work so far. I realized that this was just, I think less than a full year ago when we were kind of finalizing or, formalizing the scope of what a marketing task force would look into. And you all have done a lot of impressive work in that time. And yeah, just to echo the sentiments, if you're interested in this kind of work, if you love marketing or do a lot of marketing at your library, please feel free to, think about joining this group. It's a really great opportunity. So at this point, we have kind of open time for the discussion of old business. If anyone has issues they would like to raise, this is an opportunity to do that. Part of the reason that we have a members forum is to have open time for people to share concerns or raise issues. So if there's any calls for old business, Willa, is the chat the best place for that to be indicated, or is there a better mechanism for people to raise those issues?
Either the chat or the Q&A is fine. I am monitoring both of them.
Perfect. Thank you. Are we seeing any? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
We have a question in the Q&A. Could you talk more about award sponsorship and what awards might not be given if no sponsors? Did you want to take that, Courtney, or do you want one of us to talk about it?
Well, Nicole, I will give you first refusal. If you would rather I address it, I'm happy to, but I know that came up during your section, so I don't want to.
Sure. So it's still very early in our fundraising season. We continue to get new sponsors. Usually through February in recent years, January, February. So we hope to get someone to sponsor every one of the awards. We will do the best that we can. That falls on me too. But, you know, to be a fiscally responsible organization, we can't offer a scholarship that we don't have funding for. So do reach out if you have other vendors that you work with and have a good relationship with them. Let them know the value of NASIG, and we will. The goal is to get them all, but at present we have one, but we continue to get new sponsors through February. So if I can't stress enough, if you, and I know my librarians have been wonderful about this over the years, if you know a vendor you have a great relationship with, please don't hesitate to tell them how much you value NASIG and that we have these great awards available. There's a full list of them, I think, on the website. And if not, if you shoot me an email, I'm happy to send you the list.
And we can share that as a follow-up to with the recording from today's session as well. We can share some links. Thank you for that response, Nicole. Does that help with the original poster's question, or are there any follow-ups related to that? Or any other calls for old business? It feels like we might be moving into new business, and I'm happy to transition, but I also want to give people time if there's still more to be said. Okay, well, we can advance to the call for other new business, and if something related to a past session or members forum comes up, we can backtrack if needed. Any other new topics or new business anyone would like to raise at this time? How are things looking, Willa?
We don't have any further questions. There are some follow-ups that's already been addressed in the chat.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Well, obviously we are available for follow-ups via email. We will share this recording as well as some follow-up links, the slides that Matthew shared as well, so we can all take a closer look at the wonderful work that the Marketing Task Force has done. At this point, I will draw this meeting to a close at 2:33 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday, October 17th, 2023. Hopefully that's the right date. Time sometimes has no meaning. But thank you so much for your time, your attention today, for coming to the Members Forum and participating with this wonderful organization. As an administrative note, if you are registered for NASIG Autumn, programming will continue in a separate Zoom room. You got 2 links for today's activities. One was specifically for the Members Forum. The second link will take you to the Zoom session where our programming will resume at 3:10 p.m. Eastern. So please use that second link and email us if you encounter any issues. But in the meantime, please enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you again for coming to our Members Forum.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.